Welcome back to Grizzly Reviews, everyone. My name is Garrett, and today I'm bringing you a review for The Hunger Games. With the release of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes this weekend, I wanted to go back and rewatch the original Hunger Games movie and give a little review to get back into the vibe of The Hunger Games. Katniss Everdeen voluntarily takes her younger sister's place in The Hunger Games, a televised competition in which two teenagers from each of the 12 districts of Panem are chosen at random to fight to the death. I'm not gonna hide it, I really like this movie, I really like this franchise. It's a big guilty pleasure of mine. This movie came out when I was in middle school, 8th grade to be more specific, so I was hooked on the books, was really excited for this movie to come out, was not allowed to go see it in theaters, but when the Blu-ray came out, I demanded my parents get this for me. I asked nonstop, and one day they did, which was one of my first Blu-rays. So I do have a lot of love for this Blu-ray itself, the slipcover on it. I wish they made slipcovers as sturdy. Like, this is a box. Do you feel that? As I damage it. But it's like a thick cardboard paper they're using for the slipcover. It's not gonna dent as easily if I drop it. So I'm really loving the way this Blu-ray is put together. The Hunger Games just hits that perfect vibe of dystopian YA novel movies that I love. Same with Divergent. I was a reader in middle school and high school, so I was hooked to these books, Divergent especially. I love the first Divergent movie. That franchise came out on my birthday every year. That was pretty cool. So I have a lot of love for this first Hunger Games movie. I think it's really fucking good. It is thrilling, it is well-paced, it is intense, it is gory, in a perfectly PG-13 way. It's a pretty perfect book to movie adaptation. So because of that love and fondness for it, I can overlook some of the negatives this movie has, which is in the camera work and editing. This movie has a lot of shaky cam. Everyone's gonna complain about it. I kind of love shaky cam when it's used effectively, which sometimes in this movie it is used well. When you're in a very overwhelming scene, like when the games begins and everyone's around the cornucopia, there's a lot of shaky cam in that scene because it's very intense, very overwhelming, and fast. You can't really keep an eye on what's happening, which means the action in the scene is happening so fast for the characters. They're having a hard time keeping up with what's going on. This is when most of the kids die during the games itself, so you don't really want to keep a steady camera on that stuff happening. For a movie that's about teenagers killing other teenagers, you don't want to make that too low because it is PG-13. You can't make it too gory. There is a good amount of gore though. The blood in this scene is pretty intense for a PG-13 movie. I'm shocked they show any blood at all. It's kind of surprising that they do. Sometimes though, the shaky cam and editing is really effective at creating tension. The entire reaping scene is very tense. There's a lot of tension in whether or not your name is going to get picked up. So there's a lot of fast camera movements. The editing is quick. It's not giving time for these characters to pause and think about what's going on. So I really like how the reaping scene is done. And this movie is very blunt in the way it treats its characters and what they're going through. Right after their names are pulled, Katniss and Peeta are essentially whisked away and they get a few minutes with their families before they have to leave for Panem. The movie doesn't try to hide or make it seem like, oh, what you're going through is really cool, you should be honored. The characters are kept very grounded. There's a sense of realism to this movie, and I kind of love the way the games are set up. It's like a reality competition show. I mean, it is. It's televised competition where kids are killing each other, but the lead up to it feels very reality TV. All of the interviews that happen beforehand, the way that each tribute is graded for how well that people think that they'll do in the games, the petty little drama that's starting between them. You kind of get a sense of what the show is actually like when you're watching a TV showing the games. But honestly, if there was a cut of this movie that was just the TV stuff itself, maybe take out a bit of the gore, because again, I really don't want to watch kids killing kids, I would be down for it. I would love to see it. I'm really intrigued to see how Songbirds and Snakes shows the games and how they were televised before, and if there's an eventual evolution to the production of the games. I know that sounds so weird, but me and my filmmaking brain, I just want to see if there's a change, so I'm gonna be looking out for that during Songbirds and Snakes. The biggest negative I have for this movie is the finale action scene between Katniss, Peeta, and the dude from District 2. I really hate this scene. It's edited so bad. There's only one shot that's a few seconds long. You see all three characters on the top of the cornucopia from like a shot that's above. You only get one of those shots. I would have loved to see a 30-second shot of the fight happening from that angle. Otherwise, it's so hard to tell what's going on. It is so fastly edited. I just don't love the editing in this movie sometimes. It's the end of the movie. You should save your best for the last, and you really saved your worst. The costuming and makeup in this movie is fantastic, especially when you get to the Capitol and seeing all the weird clothes and makeup people wear. Elizabeth Banks's Effie trinket in this movie is maybe my favorite Elizabeth Banks role. She is such a character. Her costuming and makeup is excellent in every scene. With The Reaping, you get to see the huge distinction between the way everyone in District 12 is dressed and simply the way Effie is dressed, and how monetarily much more that look is than the people in District 12. That sentence didn't make sense. Her look was more expensive than the ones in District 12 is what I'm trying to say. Jennifer Lawrence is great in this movie. I don't think Katniss could have gone to any other actress ever. Jennifer Lawrence is perfect for her. Rue as a character and what happens to her is so sad. I cry every time I watch this movie and that scene happens and the little burial that happens after it. Rue is played by Amandla Stenberg, who you most recently saw in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I don't know if it's most recent, but most notable from me, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. And she's perfect as Rue. I do wish there was a little bit more time spent between Katniss and Rue to develop those characters to where it's even more of a gut punch. And middle school me loved Josh Hutcherson. He was most recently in Five Nights at Freddy's, a movie I plan on reviewing at some point. It's just kind of getting lost in the current mix of everything I'm trying to review, but I will review it. I do want to talk about that movie. I have a lot to say. Josh Hutcherson is just really good as Peeta. I like his performance in this movie. I wish you got a little bit more of him. I mean, the book is from Katniss's perspective, but with the movie, I kind of would have liked to know what Peeta is up to a little bit more during the games. And it's so cool seeing all of the big time actors in this movie that are just background characters. Jack Quaid and Isabelle Fuhrman played tributes from other districts. It's wild to see them have the career that they have now. They're just background characters. They get a couple scenes that they're important in, but otherwise they don't do much, and they're huge names now. The ending of this movie, though, is pretty interesting. It's so weird to see how Katniss is taking the fact that her and Peeta have a connection that they use for the reality show of the Hunger Games so that people would like them more. But now they have to keep that up in public, and everyone that actually knows Katniss and Peeta knows that that isn't really true. I don't necessarily love the love triangle between Katniss, Gale, and Peeta. It's very uninteresting. Honestly, all YA love triangles are uninteresting to me. That's not what I'm here for when I read them or look at their movies, so I just don't care. Gale didn't even want to watch the games, so why should he care what happens in them? He knows it's just propaganda, so I just don't know why he cares as much as he does. In the end, The Hunger Games is a guilty pleasure movie of mine. I don't love some of the technical aspects of the filmmaking process for this movie, but otherwise I have a great time every time I watch this movie. It's thrilling, it's fun, it's intense. It's just a great popcorn movie. I'm gonna give The Hunger Games an 8 out of 10. How excited are you for Songbirds and Snakes? Let me know down below. Also, please let me know your opinions on The Hunger Games. Which is your favorite movie of the franchise? And what do you think about this first one? If you like this video, please give a like. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe so you know when my next video comes out. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!